right, so here's a question. How can I detach and create distance? How can I distance myself from my own thoughts and beliefs and my opinions and understand that they don't represent me? So this is this is coming from a place of somebody who understands the ego, that there is a lesser I, the identity of the ego, and wanting to rearrange or understand how to create space within our minds. And I know for me, when I started meditating very, very long ago, in the beginning of my spiritual journey, the mind that I had back then was like, it was the person who thought that they needed to be flexible to start doing yoga, instead of the idea that you do yoga in order to be flexible. Same thing with meditation. Is I wanted to, all of a sudden it was like, now I'm within all these spiritual people and I'm like, well, I got to be a meditator. I've got to meditate. And I remember my first group meditations at the spiritual center, and just absolutely frustrated that I felt like I just had this, what they called at the time, monkey mind. And it would just, it would frustrate me. And, you know, that ended up leading to easier ways for me to meditate. Like sitting and meditating for hours at a time wasn't my thing, or I at least didn't do the thing. And so I began to just find little spaces in the day to where I would just breathe. I would catch that wild mind and I would breathe. I would just take like 2 breaths. And so meditation is a way to do that, and is to create that space. Is the wild mind that I used to have was always analyzing, and I can recognize it now. It just basically was rearranging my prejudice to meet the things that I love and the things that I hated, the things that I criticized. And I was never taught as a kid. We're not taught in our culture to that working with our mind is an important thing. And so I had to go out and learn to do this on my own. And that creating space, that's what I like about this question, is they're like, I want to create space. I want to create room to be able to see what's going on in my mind, to find that space. It sounds like this person understands what they're going for, which is not being identified by the ego and getting their fulfillment through just a stack story that the ego puts together. And so creating that space is about it. Probably the simplest thing that I would go back and I would say to people now is awareness. In fact, I had somebody ask a question about how does mindfulness work with Paradigm B, and I looked up the definition because I used to poke around in Buddhism and that sort of thing, but I never really thought about mindfulness a lot. But basically, what it was is to be able to sit with your thoughts without judgment, and I was like, that's Paradigm B in itself. It's mindfulness. And it's a matter of not trying to control our thoughts. That never works. Trying to control never works, but that's the ego thing. That's the ego thing, that we can think that we need to control this world. And so it's kind of this idea that you're looking for something different. It's like you're studying a black hole, because you can't actually see the black hole, but you can see what's happening on the outside of the black hole. So you kind of have an idea that there's this black hole, and you want to know what happens within that black hole. To people that are living in a Paradigm A mindset, paradigm B is this foreign idea that seems ridiculous. You can't put logic to it. You can't, and so it's just a perception. It's how you see things. So it's a matter of finding slowness, creating space between thoughts, as we get caught up in that wild mind, and having triggers, just the trigger to recognize, oh, my mind is just flopping from one idea to the other, or it's just constantly regurgitating the same story over and over again. That awareness is the key. That awareness, hold on to that awareness and take 2 breaths. Just breathe twice through that. Just pay attention to your breath. And it was the awareness of the craziness of the mind that becomes the catalyst, or yes, the catalyst to that awareness or that mindfulness that you're looking for. And the more that you can bring this into your day, the better. I'm not discouraging people to become like a Buddhist monk and have long meditations every day. If that works for you, do it. The more meditation you can do, I recommend it. But if you've got the wild mind and you're just trying to find that space, mindfulness is basically just being able to pay attention to what's going on. Have awareness of what's happening in your mind. Otherwise, we become so absorbed in the mind that we believe that the reality that our mind is telling us is true. And that's the illusion. That's the illusion of the egocentric, ego-created mind. So just creating a little space and bringing awareness. Those are the things that I would say would be the most powerful ways to move with regards to the question that was asked. So if you like these videos, please consider Paradigm B. And I just mean that if you're having difficulty in life and like things don't make sense, just please consider Paradigm B. I know that a lot of my videos kind of go all over, they're from different points of view, because there are so many points of view that take us to B. And so it isn't a matter that we have to become a Buddhist, we have to become, all these other, an existentialist, we don't have to do all of these things, a non-dual person or whatever else. All of these things can be integrated. The idea is that Paradigm B is a different way to look at the world. And from my point of view, it's a world that works for everyone. It doesn't have a hierarchy of identity-based status. The status is ideas. We don't care where the idea comes from. The best perspective is taken, rather than who is the one that came up with the idea. So anyway, subscribe if you like this, like the video if you like this. If you don't, I wish you well. Always do. Bye-bye.